prior to opening up Turning the Corner, I was actually a software engineer for IBM. And so I had a much more technical background. And in about 2007 through 2011, I really derailed my career. And I was miserable. I hated my job. And I turned to recruiters, I turned to friends, I did all those things that we do when we're on the job hunt, trying to figure out what was next for me. And it was really, really a tough time. And when I finally turned to a good friend of mine who I'd also worked with, she was the one that basically said to me, she looked at me like I'd grown a second head when I first asked her what I should do. Because she said, Kendra, we all come to you for that kind of advice. I have no idea what to tell you. And so I started thinking about it, and she was right. It helped, even though I was a software engineer, I had helped a lot of people on the side figure out what their kind of next steps were. And I did kind of have a gift for seeing people's strengths, and I knew a lot about the IBM environment, and so I could help them kind of connect with different people and different jobs inside IBM. So I decided to go out on my own and kind of hang my shingle out there and start a business. And now, 6 years later, it's been quite successful, and I'm definitely doing what I'm supposed to do. But what I want you to know is that I had no idea how to use my network back in 2011. I had to learn all this stuff. And so if you're somebody like me who feels maybe isolated, feels like you don't have a network, or you don't know how to even do that, that's absolutely okay. I'm going to give you a taste of what you can do and how you can get going on that today. I'm going to give you some very, very tangible skills of things that I know you can start doing right away to leverage your network. But don't feel panicked about it, because I was not good at this at all until I really, got the knack of it in this business. You can learn it if I can learn it, I promise you. And now I'll tell you this. Now, 6 years later, I have these amazing kids, these two kids that I struggled actually to get pregnant at IBM. And once I kind of derailed my career, these kids came along. So that was quite a joyful thing that came along the side. And I am doing definitely what I'm supposed to be doing. So I am regularly on very large stages. I usually am presenting to 400 to 600 people regularly. And so it's just great to be here today with you guys, and I hope you get a lot out of it. And then the last piece is that I have this amazing team, too, that supports me. So it's not just me. This is actually just half the team. We have 5 remote employees as well that just weren't able to participate in this picture. But there's a whole bunch of us that love what we do, love helping make sure that you are connecting with work that you love, and that you are not giving up the best hours of your day, the best years of your life for something crummy. You shouldn't do that. You should love your work. So I'm not sure what brought you here today to be with me, but if it is on a job hunt, then this will be a very focused toward job hunting. However, if you're not on the job hunt and you want to just have better networking skills in general, everything I'm going to teach you is very applicable to that, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not on the job hunt at all right now, and I use these tips and tricks that I'll teach you today every single day. So what I'm going to give you today is this. I'm going to give you a formula that lets you continue the conversation, because we talk about an elevator pitch, and the idea around the elevator pitch is that you would go to the top of it, you'd be at the top of a building, somebody would come in the elevator with you, and by the time the elevator hit the bottom of it, you would have been able to say what you do, right, and what your spiel is, so to speak. Well, my whole philosophy is that you want that elevator pitch to go turn into coffee, right? You want that ride on the elevator to go turn into dinner or a drink or follow-on meetings. That's what you really want. And so I want to teach you a way that you can make sure that if you're with the right people, the conversation continues. And then if we have time, I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to kind of think through this a little bit on your own as you're sitting there at your desk. Ideally, you'll actually go practice this outside of yourself, because it is pretty helpful to actually do this with somebody. And Victoria, perhaps, and Megan, after this is over, you could send, the attendee list out to each other, because it's really good to practice it with somebody who just went through the presentation too, because then you don't feel quite as ridiculous. If you're doing it with your spouse or with a friend or a colleague, they're kind of like, yeah, that sounds good to me. I don't know. And then at the end here, I will give you a little opportunity that if you feel like you want to work one-on-one with us, we always offer a special discount and special thing for people who want to get more from us than what you can get just with an hour. So we'll talk about that briefly at the end. So the first thing about networking that I think is really key, and kind of this first step you really want to be mindful of, is just get ready. Like, And the question I think you want to ask yourself is, why are you networking? So think about that for a minute. Hopefully you have a piece of paper there in front of you that's easy to reach, but you really want to just take a minute and think about, like, okay, why am I networking? Like, what am I going to get out of this? You might be networking because you do want to find and make connections with people at certain companies that might be able to provide you a job. Now, you do not network to get a job, ever, because no one is ever going to give you a job on the spot. You will never get a job at a job fair. You will never get a job at a networking event or at a coffee. What might happen is that the conversation will continue. So be really clear on what it is that you're trying to accomplish, because this is going to be really important in the way you talk about yourself at the event as well. So, or at whenever you're networking. So you could maybe be networking, like I network now to find great candidates for the roles that we have open. I also network for more business. I network to get our name out there, to get Turning the Corner's name out there. So those are my various reasons why I network. But I would definitely tell you, like, if you can't pin down exactly why you're networking, then I wouldn't do it. It's a waste of time. And at the end of the day, you and the connections that you make are not going to benefit at all. And so be really clear on what it is. And it can also be as simple as something like, well, I just want to make good connections so that down the road, I know I have people I could reach out to if I need to. That's okay, but you're not going to make a connection with one meeting. You make a connection over time, and we're going to talk a little bit about that at the end. So I want you to think about it like a beacon of light, like something off in the distance that's guiding you. What is that thing that's telling me and guiding me on why I'm doing what I'm doing? And what is that reason that I'm networking? Because the thing is that you kind of want to think this almost as a rule. When networking, you really almost want to even tell people why you're networking. And so you're not going to be like, hey, I'm here because I need a job. Do you have a job? Right? I already said that that's not appropriate at all. So instead what you want to be saying is something like, yeah, I'm here to make great connections with people. I'm looking for people who work for DaVita or work for IBM or work for small marketing agencies that are maybe on the lookout for great talent. I'd love to talk with them about what they are doing. So you can be vague with it, but then the people you're talking to can actually go, oh, can I help them? Maybe I can help them. What do you know? Okay, so that's how your networking becomes a little bit more strategic. So step number 1 is think about why. Now step number 2 is where we get set then. So that's the ready. The set then is to take it to the next step. And what I'll tell you is this. We think of networking as like having to show up all formal and sipping cocktails with strangers or something like that. But it really isn't that way. I mean, when are you networking? Well, you're networking pretty much anytime someone says, so what do you do? I mean, I'm kind of a chatterbox, as you probably can already tell. I'm actually not really a chatterbox. I'm just curious about people. So I'm definitely the kind of person, though, that will talk to you if you make eye contact with me at the airport, in the airplane, at a coffee shop, whatever it might be. Like, I want to know. I'm curious about you. And so if you're on a job hunt or you're looking, you're on a need to make more connections with people, you're going to run into me, and I'm going to ask you that question. So, Stephen, what do you do? And I want to know what it is that you do. And it's got to be in a way that is then going to continue this conversation. Now, as you can probably imagine, I ask this question a lot, and I hear some really bad answers. A lot. I'll hear things like this. Oh, I'm a programmer. Really? Okay, like, I'd love to know more about that. There's so many things that you can program in. I was a programmer. I want to know, do we have anything in common? Are you on the lookout? Do you love your job? Like, that doesn't give me anything. And I kind of feel bored by that. Or I'll hear something like, oh, so complicated. Maybe not that dramatic. They'll say, oh, it's complicated. Okay, tell me. I want to know. Maybe I can help you, right? Or they'll say something like, well, I'm a student right now. Oh, wow, student. Like what? High school, college? Are you studying biology? Are you studying underwater basket weaving? Like, what is it? Don't be so vague. Or they'll say something like, oh gosh, well, I'm on the job hunt right now. I can do almost anything. I mean, I can do everything. And they get really excited about that. And I think, oh, yeah, no, you can't. No, you can't. So if you ever have one of these as one of your answers, today, going forward, never say that again. I'm going to give you a much better way to say it. Because really and truly, when you're networking, what you want to do is you want to make it easy for people to help you. Colorado is by far the most amazing place probably to do business. Because and the most amazing place to make connections. I have done business all over the world, and I've never seen it like it is here. Now, I'm a Colorado native, so I definitely have like a kind of a skewed view of things, but people want to help you. They just want to lay their cards out on the table. They're like, what can I do? Here's what I got. What do you need? So when you do this well, I promise you it's going to benefit yourself. So what you want to do is when someone asks you that question, so, Stephen, what do you do? So, Victoria, what do you do? Whatever it might be, what you want to do is you want to have a statement that you do pretty much memorize that is cool, smart, and focused, okay? So what I mean by cool is it's got to be something like, I love doing, I impact, I help, okay? So I'll say to people like, I want to help make sure that everybody loves their job, okay? That's kind of my opening statement when people say, so what do you do? I mean, I'll say a little bit more. I'll tell you what I say here in just a minute. You also want to make it smart, meaning like, what is it makes you unique and special? What do you bring to the table that helps me kind of feel connected to you as somebody who's a unique and interesting and person, okay? And then the last piece is that it's focused and that you're telling me what you need and what you're looking for so that if I'm able to help you, I will help you, all right? So for example, one way to say this would be something like this. I code amazing websites for larger sized companies. I started doing this because I love technology, and I also have a knack for understanding how people kind of use technology for learning. And actually, I'm on the job hunt right now, targeting companies like Google and Rally. I'm not really sure exactly if they're even looking, but I want to get in like a maybe larger corporate company that could take advantage of some of my skills. And that's it. That's all you have to say. If that person standing there knows anybody at Google or Rally or larger software companies, they're going to go, oh, well, do you? Or, oh, well, have you? Oh, or, well, oh, yeah, do you have? Or would you like? Or their conversation is going to continue if they can help you. Okay? But if you come up and say something like, I'm on a job hunt and I need to meet people from Google. Do you know anybody from Google? Everybody's going to be like, what a jerk. No, we're not going to help you. Like, you got to give us a little bit more to work with, okay? So I want you to take a minute and practice this. So think about what you help do. What are you wanting to do? Or what do you value? Like why, if it's a job hunt, right? Or if you're out there even like maybe looking for potentially business, you know, what is it that makes you compelling? And don't say I am a, say I help blah, okay?